Yesterday I confirmed with him that we were going to meet up. He said yes, and today he showed up, and I was like, oh.
The road to love is exciting, funny, and sometimes can even be heartbreaking. But in the end, it'll all be worth it. Join me on my journey to love.
Hey everybody, it's LaRonda and I'm back with another video, and today's video is about first date number 4 of 2021, and this date was a little bit different than most of the other ones that I've been on, even, outside of this year, but even from last year, as in that I matched up with a local man here from Puerto Rico. And what was different about him is that we met on Tinder, and normally with the local men, I usually have to initiate the conversation. I don't know why it is, but this is my experience. But this man was a little bit different. He ended up messaging me first, and outside of the conversation that he started, he didn't ask a bunch of questions or start, a chit chat over the app. Right away, almost, he was like, "Hey, would you like to meet up somewhere this weekend?" or whenever he suggested that it was. But the first time frame that he suggested was a day that I was already had plans and wasn't able to do it. So I suggested today. And so he agreed and said he would meet up with me. And, because we hadn't done a lot of talking over the app, I wasn't sure if it was actually going to go down. But yesterday I confirmed with him that we were going to meet up. He said yes, and today he showed up, and I was like, oh. Okay, this was not, in my experience, this has not been the case. With the local men, it usually takes me kind of stepping into a masculine role and asking them or initiating the date, which I really don't like to do. I want to be one of those women where the man pursues me, and rather than the other way around. But in some of these dating apps, I just feel like if I don't say something or, initiate the conversation of us meeting up, we could be chatting forever. So anyway, for that reason, this guy was different. And plus the other thing was that he speaks only Spanish generally. He knows a few words of English. So it was actually much better for me to go ahead and meet up with him than to try to have conversation in Spanish over the app. Because as much as I could sit and kind of try to think and come up with the words that I want to say and be able to use Google Translate where necessary and stuff like that, I'd rather just meet up where it's a little bit easier to just talk. 95% of the things that he says, I understand, or that anybody says in Spanish, I understand. There's, every once in a while, some words that come up that people may say that I don't get, and I'll need them to explain a little bit further. But it was better for me to just meet up with him and have the conversation in Spanish. So this is the first date that I've had in a very long time where it was completely in Spanish. So yay me for getting through that. I have to give myself a pat on the back for that. And then so we met up, we walked around Old San Juan. He showed me pictures of his kids and his grandkids and family, and told me about his job and his life situation and all that. And asked me to tell him some things about myself, which I did. And then we had some dinner and talked about some other heavy topics like policing and racism and stuff like that. So that was interesting. And he definitely has a different perspective about certain things than I do, but especially when it pertains to things on the island and stuff like that. But it was interesting to have the conversation with him and see what his thoughts were and all that. So After the date was done, we walked back down to the bottom of the where the oh my goodness, why I can't think of the word, where the cruise ships come in, because that's where the ferry that I was going to take back to my side of the island was. And it ended up that we ended up in this like big traffic jam or whatever. So, and it started to rain, and he offered to drive me to the ferry. And so on inside of his car, while we're sitting there waiting to try to get out of this parking lot and this traffic jam and stuff, it must have taken us about 45 minutes to an hour to get out of there. And during this time, he had his phone out and was kind of telling me, or he would pull up an old hip hop song from the 80s or 90s and quiz me on it to see if I knew who it was or what the name of the song was. So we played that little game in the car while we were waiting to, to get out of the traffic jam. So that was cute, and it, didn't make for a boring time while we're in this weird, situation that was unplanned. And then at the end of all of that, after we finally got to the ferry, and the ferry had shut down. Now, I thought the ferry was until 10 o'clock tonight, but it turns out that it was only until 7. So then this man had to drive me all the way back to the other side of the island where my car is, which, it's not that far. It's about, 20 minutes or whatever, but still, it was an unexpected thing, but he was nice enough to do it. And I got back and I gave him a hug and got my car, and we left, and we talked a little bit about meeting up again. But, I was like, as usual, I'm not going to get my hopes up about hearing from him again, because I hadn't exchanged numbers or anything with him. I had given him my number, but he hadn't given me his. So, I had no idea if I would hear from him again. So I came on home and went on about my business. And next thing I knew, my phone was ringing from a number that I didn't know, and I answered it, and it was him checking to see if I got home, which I thought was really nice. And also, the 3 men that I've gone out with before him, even the one that I gushed about how much fun the conversation was and how great it was to talk to him and all that, none of those 3 other men that I've been out with this year called me afterwards to make sure I made it home safe or checked on me or any of that. So one of the things that I know that I loved, even beside the fact that I have traveled the world on my own, I live here on this island by myself with my son. I have no family here. I have made some friends, but I don't have any family members here, or, someone that I feel like is checking in on me or whatever to make sure everything's good. So knowing, one of the important things for me is when I have a man is that he's protective enough of me that he wants to know I made it home safely when I'm not in his presence, or just wants to protect me in general. So the fact that this man called me back after to make sure that I made it home safe was a nice touch on his part. And he also made plans or asked me to, try to figure out what day we can meet up again. So we have some tentative plans for a second date. So that's interesting. I don't have any plans for any second dates with the other men that I've been out with. So, let's see how it goes. I mean, again, I have decided that I'm going to detach myself from the outcomes of any of these dates, meaning, instead of like getting too excited about any of them or whatever beforehand or too soon, I'm just going to be like, okay, when the date's over, I go home. If they call me back, cool. If not, also cool. And I'm just going to keep on going on to the next. Like, once the date is over, if I don't have a commitment from the guy for a second date or something like that, or even if I do, I'm just going to keep dating until such time as it is time for me to remove myself from the app because I'm so happy with somebody and he's so happy with me that we've decided we're going to be exclusive. But other than that, I'm going to date all the men in 2021 because I think it's an important thing for me to do. Number one, just to get my skills up of like being able to handle men and understand them better by having more conversations with them, and also being able to handle when things don't work out the way I hope. Like if I don't like somebody as much as I want to or wish that I did, or if they decide they don't like me, being able to handle that kind of, rejection or decision making of like never seeing somebody again and all of that without letting it like derail me or get me so upset. Because there's been times in my past where I have decided that, or where somebody decides that they don't call me again or I don't want to call them again, and it makes me feel really bad, that things didn't work out with this person, and as much as I was hopeful for it to work out, it didn't. And so it gets me sort of sad and feeling like I need to take a break from dating and stuff, and that reminds me that I've just gotten too attached to the outcome of any particular date, and I've just detached myself. So I haven't been feeling bad about any of the men. Even the one that I was really excited about the conversation about, I haven't heard from him since then, not even a peep. And I'm so detached from it. Like, it's like, okay, if he calls back, all right. If not, I'm going to keep on dating the other men and see what happens with them, So, yeah, so I'm happy. I'm happy that I've been going out, and I possibly have another date lined up with another man coming up here pretty soon. He asked me to go out tomorrow, but I'm like, I might need another day because I have to work tomorrow, and I don't feel like going out probably after work, and I got other things that I need to do. So I need probably for him to either wait until the weekend, but we'll see. This is another, actually a local man, and even with this one I had to kind of say, because he just keeps telling me good morning or whatever, and I had to just say to him, like, listen, if you want to get together, like, let me know, because all this like every morning, good morning, how are you, and then and that's it, and then the next morning, good morning, how are you, it's like, come on. Like, are we going to do something or what? So, and that's what I don't want to have to get in my masculine and start asking people out or initiating dates. I hate it, But anyway, that's another story for another day. All right. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Happy dating, everybody. Bye-bye.